I'm so happy to see you. I'm so happy to see you. I'm so happy to see you. Now, if you've ever been greeted like that, you have a dog. Or you know somebody with a dog, yeah? So let's talk about a dog. So there was this dog, and her name was Ellie. And when I got her, I realized right off the bat that I was over my head. She was so out of control. She was always a leaping and a lunging and a biting, and she would pee and she would poop and she would puke. She was doing all this stuff. Now, I believe when a person gets a pet, and it doesn't matter if you're 6 or 106, you become a leader because you're responsible for another living thing. Well, apparently at the time I didn't have enough leadership qualities because she was out of control. I just didn't, and she got older, she got worse. She just kept being so energetic and doing so many things wrong. She did have one really good talent. She could get anything through the pet door. Pet door? So a full sack of recycling cans right through the pet door. A full-size mop out the pet door. My underwear out the pet door. You should have seen our yard. So as she got more and more out of control, and as I realized I didn't have the skills, I thought, what can I do? I didn't know what to do with her. I couldn't give her back, and I wasn't going to destroy her, and I couldn't give her to a friend because I like my friends. So what are you going to do with this dog? Now, I've been a leadership coach for a long time, and one thing I know about leaders is they take action. And so right then, I took a good action. I signed up for dog obedience classes. Now, you all know that they're really human obedience classes, right? So I went, and I got to tell you something. Ellie was out of control. We get out of the car, and she's just running, and she's leaping, and I'm so angry. And the trainer comes up, and she goes, wow, what do you want to do with that dog? And I went, I'll tell you what I want. I want her to quit lunging, I want her to quit leaping, I want her to quit barking. And the gal goes, okay, but what do you want to do with her? And I'm like, was I unclear? I want her to stop lunging, stop leaping, stop barking. And the woman goes, I got that, but what do you want to do with her? Hadn't thought about it. I went, well, I'd like her to mind. And she goes, okay, good, we can work on that. And so here's what she told me. She said, you're going to go home, and no matter what Ellie does, no matter what she gets into, only talk to her when she does something right. I looked at this gal and went, there's going to be silence at my house. Ellie didn't do anything right. And she said, it doesn't matter, just go and do it. So we go home, and there's Ellie, right? And she's just doing everything and going to take stuff through the pet door, and I can feel myself getting angry. So I just stopped, and I just turned my back on her. Well, that kind of confused her, so Ellie runs around and stands in front of me. And I went, good Ellie. She's so startled by the praise that she sits. And I go, good, sit. And Ellie went, and I went, oh my heavens, this is gonna work. And it did. Now this is the first lesson that pets can teach us to be better people and better leaders. What is it? They're focused only on what they want. What are we as humans? Lots of times we're focused on what we don't want. Look at pets. They're really focused. Ellie was focused on doing what she wanted, getting stuff out the pet door. They're focused. Squirrel, focused on eating, focused on pleasing. What are we focused on? We're focused on what we don't want. In working with leaders for years and years, I've noticed that they'll say things like, oh man, I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want to lose market share. I don't want to make a fool out of myself. Listen to all these I don't wants. Listen to what we say all the time. I don't want to fail. I don't want to foul up this TEDx talk. I don't want to fail the class. I don't want to fail the course. What if we only focused on what we wanted? What if we could be just like a dog and focus only on what we wanted? Because you see, I believe a dog proves that you can have anything you want in life if you stare at it long enough. It's the way it is at my house. So that's our first lesson. Now the second lesson I learned from a horse. My horse. Now, if you have a horse, and I'm lucky enough to have one, but it's a huge responsibility. They're gigantic, right? And you have to house them someplace, and you have to feed them, and then you have to take care of the stuff that comes out after you feed them, and you have to be able to transport them. And I love my horse. She's pure white. Well, sometimes she's white and brown or white and green. It depends on what she's laying in. But I was saddling her up one day to go for a ride. So I'm saddling her up, and I'm all happy, and she turns around with this horse head and horse teeth, and tries to bite me. And I'm like, what? And I pop her on the nose, and I'm like, I can't believe you did that. And now I'm hurt. I'm crushed. I'm like, do you know how much I've done for you? Do you know how much I put into you and how much I love you and you bite me? So I saddled her up, and I got on her, and I'm not proud of myself that I didn't ride her that kindly that day. I was being kind of heavy-handed, and a friend was with me, and she said, Shawna, what is going on with you today? And I looked at her and I said, sis, my horse tried to bite me. She looks at the horse and says, well, apparently she forgot all about it. And apparently she had. She was just being a horse. It was me that was holding it. So you know what animals do? They let it go. You know what humans do? We hold on. We judge and we begrudge. Now, if I were to ask you right now, if you could remember in your time of life, somebody who said something unkind, could have been today, somebody who was mean to you or rude or hurt your feelings, we'd remember because humans hold on, but pets don't. If we could do this one thing where we just let it go, just let it go. Think how much happier we would be. They're certainly happy. Now, the third lesson I learned from a goat. My goat. I had a goat, little goat. His name was Chester, or I used to call him Chester. I had a goat. And when we got him, he was only a day old, and so you have to bottle feed a baby goat. You have to bottle feed babies. And so you use a milk replacement, and you tuck them all in, and you put the bottle in their face, and they're like, so cute. But when they're doing this, all the milk replacements dripping down their chin, down their chest, going over their little hooves. And the dogs thought that was cool. They're all sitting there waiting, getting little licks in here and there. And that baby's just drinking his milk. And as soon as he got done, I put him down, and those dogs licked him from toe to tail. And right then, that goat just accepted that he was a dog. He was so accepting of his place in the world that when we would go outside, the dogs and everybody, he would go outside. If we went for a walk, he went for a walk. If I told the dogs to get in the back of the Jeep, the goat got in the back of the Jeep. My favorite thing was going to drive-thrus in the gas station, and people would go, you have a goat in the back of your Jeep. And I'd go, I know it. Here's what pets do. They accept what is. They just do. There isn't an animal in the world, when they're hooked on to a family, that rejects it. They just accept it. Pets accept what is. They accept the way you look, the way you smell. My pets like me better when I smell bad. They accept you. You know what humans do? We reject. We reject people for their political views. We reject them for the way they look. You know what? We're the only species that has an entire channel designated to the weather, which we cannot change. Think about this. What if we could accept what is? So let's break this down. The things that pets can teach you about leadership, focusing only on what you want, letting it go instead of judging and begrudging, and accepting what is instead of rejecting things we cannot change. Now, Ellie, this crazy dog, ended up being the best dog I ever had. And throughout our lives together, she went with me everywhere, every adventure, every ride on a horse, every time. And so later in her life, she was about 12 at this time, she was laying in the sun, just baking her old bones, and I was saddling up a horse that I did not trust to take it up the hill behind my property. And I remember thinking to myself, you know, she's so deeply asleep, I'm just going to let her lie. So I got on the horse, and we headed up the hill, very steep, lots of brush and brambles. And I remember my heart hurt, just a pain, that this was the first time I was going to go up that hill alone, without somebody who was focused on me or that was my partner in this. But I accepted what is, I let it go, and I headed up that hill. And we went all the way to the top, and this horse did good. So we turn around, and we're coming back, and there's this big corner before a very steep incline. And as we came around that corner, suddenly something was moving in the grass, and the horse tensed up, and I sat down, ears up. We're watching the grass move. And it didn't take us but a little while to realize it was Ellie, dragging her old bones up that hill. Now, if you don't think animals have expressions, you should have seen the look of relief on her face. She was like, oh, thank heavens! Mom, I don't have to go all the way up the hill! So we turned it around and headed down. And I remember thinking to myself what a leader Ellie was. Because I don't know what woke her up, but she woke up and realized I'd left her behind. And she didn't judge me for it or begrudge me. She accepted what was, and because she is solely focused on protecting me, she got up, even in pain, and headed up that hill. Now, what if we could do all that? What if each one of us started to use these characteristics that pets have to become better people and better leaders? What if each of us did it and we spread it everywhere? Maybe, just maybe, nobody would have to go up the hill alone. Thank you.